Hello, I'm Bob Henderson. I'm the Nomad Dad, the father of the Nomad Capitalist, Andrew Henderson. Andrew's given me a number of topics he wanted me to discuss with you from the perspective of somebody who's a little bit older. I was in the wealth management business for about 39 years. I was in the life insurance business. I was also in the media, radio and TV. Got somebody to write me a check for over 25 years. As a result of the media in particular, I got to see and do things that maybe people outside of the media wouldn't get to do. I've gotten to go to the White House with other talk show hosts of America, gotten a chance to interview presidents, that sort of thing. And that's obviously very interesting to me. And then I think that you get to a certain age, you begin to, I don't know, you have all this accumulated knowledge, which hopefully some of it's worthwhile that you can pass on with a perspective that might be helpful. So I wanted to talk about not being afraid to move, whether it's from the United States, any of the other legacy brand countries, or quite frankly, any other country. Andrew has said for years, and we'll talk primarily about Americans because that's where he's from. He says Americans, and he's not saying this in a bad way, but Americans seem to think, they're maybe a little bit provincial, that, well, the only healthcare in the world that's any good is American. Well, it might be good, but there are plenty of other places in the world where it's also good. You won't be able to have first world amenities in some of these countries. Well, certainly you do in Western Europe, but as you travel around, and Andrew's used the example of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, when he was born in the mid-1980s, that was a backwater. Frankly, if you want to talk about Malaysia, why don't we talk about Singapore for a minute? Singapore in 1963 was kicked out of the Malaysian Federation for being bad. Since then, they have risen to one of the most economically free countries in the world, and it didn't take them very long. So in Andrew's lifetime, look at all the immense changes. You want to talk about healthcare? One of the best places you can go for healthcare in the world is Prince Court Hospital in Kuala Lumpur. And you can do it a lot less expensively than you can most other places in the world. You'll have first-class care. If you speak English, you got British doctors, you can understand them. These are the kinds of things that I think people wonder about. I know Andrew's mother and I do as we get a little bit older, and we're in good health, but it's something that you do have to keep in mind. So I am also going to, a little mea culpa here. We have been looking at this, and I think this is where Andrew began to get interested, for 25 years. And I thought about New Zealand, for instance, for a variety of reasons. This was a country that was flat on its back. They were one of the early kind of soft socialist countries, and everything went pear-shaped in the 1980s. And it took a left-wing government who had no other choice but to do the right thing to revive the country. Now they've kind of fallen back like most of the other Western countries, but they're still far ahead of where they were 40 years ago. But we thought about going there. Why didn't I? Well, I didn't have the Nomad Capitalist, and I say that with all sincerity. I didn't have enough information to make the move. The Nomad Capitalist, Andrew, and his team have been to over 100 countries. He's got people all over the world that can give you legal or accounting or real estate advice. They keep up on what the changes are, and the changes are incredibly immense. Point being, I didn't know who to turn to get the right answers. And I'm not a huge risk taker, maybe more so than some, but I had a young family and a business that really required my time. And I didn't have the ability to be boots on the ground flying all over the world to find the right place. I say this in the nicest way. You don't have that excuse anymore because you've got Andrew and the Nomad Capitalist Company to help you decide what makes the most sense for you after thinking what it is that you're looking for. So you could be afraid to move across town. It's a different school district for the kids, or It's going to be more expensive. Maybe we can't afford it. Or, you could move from one place in one state to another place in that state, or cross country, which Andrew and his mother and I have done a couple of times. It's a little bit scary. I understand that. And taking that next big leap outside the country, it can be even more scary. But again, Andrew makes a great point. People say, well, I'm leaving California. I'm moving to Texas. Okay. But as long as you're doing that, why don't you just go for it and go to some other country? I mean, as long as you're moving, okay, you might as well just go for it. But if it's information that you need so that you make a good decision, you've got the Nomad Capitalist to help you with that today. Now, depending on your age and your station in life, and this has been one of my concerns, is the insurance. We're on Medicare. If you're going to leave the United States and still be a citizen, you want to make sure you continue to pay your Medicare and or your Medicare supplement premiums. You can do that. You can still have the coverage. They won't cover you outside the U.S., but you can come back to the U.S. for your physicals and any other care, but you must continue to pay the premiums. If you're not on Medicare, and again, you're going to need to look at this, but I think it's going to be pretty much the same across the board. There's a 63-day period where if you go without coverage, it might be difficult to reinstitute the coverage, pre-Medicare coverage. So bottom line, you might want to keep that coverage and keep paying the premium, just the cost of doing business. In Canada, I know that you cannot leave the country in many cases for more than 6 months and keep your insurance. I think it's 7 months in Ontario, and they won't even let you out of the place. Or Newfoundland, I think, is 8. But you need to look at this kind of thing because the insurance is very important. And this could be a great wealth destroyer. It's not hard to get this information. When you do leave, in terms of maintaining your existing coverage, you're going to want to get coverage for when you are abroad, Nomad coverage. And you can get it from anywhere, 5 to 364 days at a time, and then renew it. Safety Wing is somebody that I think could meet your needs, because you are going to need the coverage. And if you're going to involve yourself in hazardous activities, make sure you've got coverage for that too. Not all of them are covered, but many are, obviously. As a rider, that'll be a little bit more expensive. So, being afraid to move, sure, there's some apprehension. Are other countries safe? Of the places I've been, I've never been concerned in the least. I don't mean to pick on the United States, but if you look particularly over the last year or so, I could say there are a lot of places that are not particularly safe in the United States right now, particularly in big cities. Just use your head. You should not run into a problem somewhere else. Andrew's mother and I have been to Israel. Everybody says, you can't go there, it's unsafe. We were there, I don't think it was, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous assertion. There's signs on a few places that say, don't go here. All right, don't go there. The airplanes that we took over, I think we took El Al, they have anti-missile equipment under the wings. If there's any airline in the world that I feel safe on, it's El Al. You get on, the captain doesn't say, hi, how's your day? No. Captain is dedicated to one thing, getting you to Tel Aviv. That's all that matters. But that's all we're paying for. That's all we want. So you hear all these things, and most of them just aren't true. You need to experience it yourself, boots on the ground, take a trip, take a couple of trips. But I don't think that, by and large, it is something that has to get in your way of moving. Don't let the fear of leaving the country, whether it's permanent or temporary, and by temporary I mean maybe you live abroad in a locale or two and then the rest of the time in your home country, it should not be a problem. But you need to experience it. I would not just move somewhere sight unseen. You probably need to take a couple of exploratory trips and, as I say, boots on the ground. It was great to have you this time. I've got some more topics coming up that I hope you'll find interesting, and I hope to see you next time. I'm Bob Henderson, the Nomad Dad for the Nomad Capitalist.
How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.